So my parents and I, we were originally from New York, and we moved to California when I was young. And my mom was in the Army, and she had honorable discharge. Because one time my dad decided, to go visit her, and so yeah, that's how, that all started to happen. So my dad and his mom, they moved to California, and so he convinced my mom to move, of course, because she was pregnant, so they could all be together, So for a while, we ended up living with my grandma, Lord rest her soul, R.I.P. And my uncles would watch us while my parents went to work. It was like a huge family. We were like, literally, it was my grandma, me, my mom, my dad, of course, until they got on their feet to get their own apartment. My two uncles, and then two other cousins that were we're almost close in age. Oh, and my aunt. Did my aunt live there? Yeah, I think my aunt lived too. So it was like a packed, I don't even know how many bedrooms, 1, 2, 3, maybe. It was upstairs, downstairs, Humboldt Street, Santa Rosa, California. So I just remember the blue carpet. It was like an old apartment. That was like back in the day, when you had like Neo Geo and Atari video games and stuff like that. So it was a cute little place. They had a pool outside and everything like that. So one day, after the apartment, it was hot. I remember it was really hot. It was like in the 90s. This is when my grandma actually lived in a house. So she lived in a nice area. She moved to a nice house. She wasn't home. It was one of my older uncles and two of my other cousins. One of my other cousins is paraplegic, so he can't walk, he can't talk, he can't do anything for himself. He was in a wheelchair, right? So me and my other cousin were playing hide and go seek with the neighbors' kids, and we always would use my uncle's closet. I thought that was a good idea to hide, because normally we'd like be outside, but we'd use the house too and use the backyard. Like, it was a really nice house. My cousin was looking for me, and I hid in my uncle's closet. It was like a, if you imagine like one of them old school skinny closets, like with the bar, the wooden bar across it, with the wooden doors and like 4 little mini doors to it. So I hid in there because I was small, I was skinny. Like, this was when I was younger. So I hid in there, and then I thought I heard my cousin coming, and my uncle was in his room. And then he told my cousin, he said, "Oh, she's not in here." But he knew I was in there. So I was like, cool, he's looking out. So apparently he closed the door, and I heard like a little something, like he locked the door. And I was like looking through the crack, because you can kind of see, it was like, I want to say normally how French doors are, it's like where they have blinds on them that are wooden. So I kind of like opened it and I peeked. He's like, oh, okay. He's like, stay in there. So I stayed in there. It was a long time. Like, I don't know what he was doing. I heard him talking in the living room. I think he was getting my paraplegic cousin something to eat. And then he told my other cousin to stay outside. So he comes back in the room, and he goes, "Okay, you can come out. I told you we were in here." And he closes the door and he locks it. So he's like, "Do you want to play a video game?" And I was like, "Okay, cool." So we put on, I think it was some Atari game. And then I sat on, his bed was against the wall. It was a very small bed, like a twin bed, like flower sheets. And then, so we started playing. And then he's like, "Okay, ready to play another game?" And I was like, "Okay, like what game?" So he like picks me up, he grabs me and throws me on the bed, and then he says, "You have to put this pillow over your face, and if you move the pillow, you lose." So I'm like, okay. So I laid down on my back and put the pillow on my face. He's pulling down my pants And then he pulled down my underwear. Well, they weren't pants, they were shorts, but... And then I would lift up and I move the pillow. And then he smashes the pillow down in my face and he says,
"If you tell anyone, I'm gonna kill you."
So, him saying that stuck in my head for years. I could see a little bit through the pillow, and I just seen him, and he, you know, was in my private area with his mouth the whole entire time. And he would look up with his big beady eyes ever so often. And I would just cry. I was just crying in the pillow. And he just kept saying, "Don't look, don't look." I don't think he knew that I could see him, what he was doing. I don't even remember how long this lasted, but finally I was able to get up. He pulled my pants up and stuff. And he grabbed me by my shoulders. He was like, grab me. And he said, "If you tell anyone, I'm gonna kill you." And I was like, okay, can I go outside and play? So he opens the door, he like straightened, he had like a you know, those thick plaid like shirt type jacket things, and he like straightened it up, and and he like breathed really hard, and he looked up at the ceiling, he looked at me, and then he unlocked the door, and then I like went out the room. And all I just seen was my cousin that was paraplegic eating in his wheelchair. And I was like calling for my other cousin. I ran outside to the backyard, didn't see him. Ran out the front, didn't see him. I just didn't want to be in the house. That was the only time like my grandma wasn't there. She was always home. I can't tell you. I don't remember if I was sad, if I was mad. It's like that part of me blacked out. Like, you know, normally as a kid you remember every little detail, and I just don't remember if I was like crying still, or did I went to go play. Like, I don't even remember that part. I couldn't even tell you. Years later, I graduated high school early. I wasn't a senior at my school. I was actually taking college courses, and I wanted to take a psychology course. This was very important to me because I just wanted to know certain things about myself and why I was the way that I was, you know, from a very young age, from other things that happened. That can be a whole nother video. I thought the mind was really interesting, and I was taking the psychology course. And sometimes I wouldn't show up, but I would always drop that paper. I would always bring that paper, and he loved my writing. I remember he was a white teacher with salt and pepper hair, very long, with glasses. And he told me to write about something that happened to me in my childhood that you think that you believe that this is why you are the way that you are, if it's something that's confusing about you. So it was like a final paper, pretty much. So I wrote the paper. I think it was like 20 pages. And when I turned 17, I left the paper on my bed. Me and my parents, that was when they had their own apartment, upstairs, downstairs townhouse. I had a day bed. I packed a huge duffel bag with clothes. I started driving when I was like 15, 16, so I had my own car. My parents got me a Mitsubishi Mirage, and I was talking to a female at the time, and I told her, "I'm just gonna go move with you. I don't want to be here." Back in those days, I was terrible. I was a horrible kid. I felt like I put my parents through the ringer. I didn't get along with my mom. I was bad. Let's just leave it there. I was pretty bad. I thought I was gangsta and everything. Like, it was horrible. I feel like, oh my God. So I said, you know what? I'm gonna leave this paper here because I never told them, because I thought I was gonna die. So I left the paper, and took the car and I drove to Richmond, California. My parents were calling me and they were texting me and calling me left and right. I didn't want to answer. I was drinking. I finally got to my destination. We were having fun. There was like 20 of us, and finally I went outside and I answered. And my mom was sad. She was mad. She was yelling at me. Oh my God, Latisha, why didn't you tell me? My dad's in the background like, you know, where's this motherfucker at? What the fuck? Why are you saying me? You know, and he's a guy that never really, my dad doesn't like confrontation. He doesn't say anything. So I guess he called his boy at the time, and they were like gonna go on a mission trying to find his ass, but they never found him. Fast forward, I think I was like 29 or 30, like so late 20s probably, early 30s. I was on a trip, so we're like, oh, let's go stop by, you know, my auntie's house. My auntie lived in Fresno, California. Rest in peace. She was my favorite auntie. She's the one that named me my nickname TT. So when we're there, we got out the car and I walked up. So there's like a fence. You go through the fence. It's like a long little walkway to the front door, and on the left side there's like a little granny unit. Well, actually it was supposed to be a garage, but they turned it into a granny unit. And lo and behold, I'm saying hi to all the little kids, and then here he goes. He's walking up. So of course my first thought, of course, is what happened when I was younger. But I wrote my paper, I did, you know, I got help, psychology, all that stuff. So I was good. I was okay. It wasn't awkward to me. I didn't feel mad, sad, angry. I didn't feel any emotions. I was like numb. And then he was like, what's up, Latisha? Yeah, I'm good. You're all old and stuff. And I was like, yeah, I'm older. I grew up. Like, and then he went for a hug and I gave him a hug. Like, what's up? You know, try to be like super like far away in a sense, like a little pat on the back kind of thing. We stayed for like hours. My aunt, she made Chinese food from scratch, and I remember going outside. This was when I smoked cigarettes, so I went outside. He was smoking a cigarette and I was smoking, so I was like, oh fuck. So I was kind of like, eh. I didn't want like to have like an awkward conversation, but like he started talking to me, and then he looked at me in a certain way that took me back. And I was like, oh. So I put the cigarette out and went inside. I just didn't feel comfortable around him. So sure enough, that same night, I found out that he did the same thing to my two other girl cousins that were there. And we all kind of shared our stories and how everything happened. And it was a sad moment, but we were very happy that we shared it with one another. It was a lot. It was heavy, and we all never told anybody because he told us the same thing. And like when my grandma lived in that first apartment, I was raped again by my other uncle. So that was the first mishap, but it wasn't like crazy like how this one was. It was just more like wanting to like grope me and feel me and touch me and that kind of stuff. Like it wasn't as intense as this moment. I just wanted to let you guys know that it's very important to do self-development, get help, talk to somebody about it as soon as it happens. Don't wait like I did. No matter what happens, you're going to be protected, you're going to be guided, you're going to have support. There's a lot of support help hotlines out there. You know, it's a lot, because it happened to me again. And so the reason why I studied the mind was because I wanted to know why. So when I was 14, I was at a party mixing liquor, and my friend left me there with all these guys, and I didn't have a choice to lose my virginity. I didn't have a choice. My parents ended up coming that night and I went to the hospital. Luckily I wasn't pregnant or anything, didn't have any STDs. Oh, it's a lot, you know, and as you get older, a lot of people go through childhood memories and they affect them in their adult life. So you want to make sure that you're always working on yourself. I always say God is working on me every single day. That was like a scarcity factor for me. Like, men scared me for years. I didn't feel comforted from a man. The only person I felt comfort around was my father. He was very loving. Being with a guy was just not, I don't know, I always say God was trying to save me. So for many years, like, I tried being with guys when I was little. And then my last boyfriend was from the first video. If you guys didn't see that, go watch that video. It was called, I think I Let Him Go or something like that. I got made fun of. They called me fake lesbian because I didn't like toys. I didn't like the whole going down thing. That just wasn't me. I didn't never like any of that. So I got made fun of even in that community. Like, you're a fake lesbian. Like, what are you? You don't even. And I'm just like I didn't know, you know, like. So I always knew I liked penetration. I don't know. I just feel like God was saving me from my king. Like, I'm queen, you know. So I have kids, be with a man. So now I can never look at women like that. I'm glad I had a spiritual awakening. I'm glad I was able to heal from that. It took years, but I healed from that. And it took a lot of discipline. It took a lot of work, but it was very hard. So I just want to say, if you guys are going through that right now and you haven't said anything, please go get help. Please tell somebody. Please, please. Don't wait. Just go get help. Go and seek guidance, because all those years I didn't say anything. I was terrible. I made the worst decisions ever. I was like, I probably must have been, I'm the only child, so I must have been the worst child. My parents were like, we ain't having another one of her, you know, so make sure that you go and get help, like, immediately. Like, don't wait, because it can really hinder who you are as you get older. I'm glad I got help when I did at the time, or else if I never did, I'd probably still have issues right now in my late 30s. So get help, and I hope that this video helps somebody. There's many women that are going through this in life and they just don't talk about it. You know, they don't speak about it. And I just want to be open about my stories that I'm sharing with you guys, so that you can have some kind of insight to know who I am. Today, you see me as a bubbly, motivational, spiritual person online, and I'm funny, I'm open, I'm real, I'm wild, and that's why I don't care about what anybody has to say about me, because they never walked a mile in my shoes. So that's why you have to do the same thing. Live life the best way that you can, and live life to the fullest. Don't let anybody stop you from doing anything, because they never ever experienced what you've been through. And some probably don't even know. So, I'm happy I'm here today. I'm living, I'm breathing, I'm blessed, highly favored, and I love myself. So, love yourself. Love yourself enough to go and seek the help that you need.